The Spurs are not only on a losing skid, they're also on a shooting slump.
You are Locked On Spurs, your daily San Antonio Spurs podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to Locked On Spurs right here on the Locked On NBA Network. I'm your host, Jeff Garcia, Spurs writer for Ken's 5 San Antonio. Glad to have you back. Hope everybody's having a great day, being safe out there with all that nasty weather out in San Antonio, wherever you're at. Just be safe. But what are we talking about today? Well, we're going to be focusing on a different slump that the Spurs are on. No, not the L's. I know everybody, Team Tank is loving that. But if the season's about development, there's something that they're not really grasping right now, and that is shooting. Is that a byproduct of losing a specialty coach, Chip England, over the offseason? Also, we're going to take a look at Malakai Branham. How has he been? And then give our guests a mystery question at the end of this show. Thanks for making Locked On Spurs your first listen each and every day. Free and available wherever you get podcasts. I'm going to bring him on. He is back, everybody. Vinny Vinzetta, my colleague over at Ken's 5 on the TV side, holding things down on the sports side as well. By the way, Vinny, loved your video piece about the San Antonio Missions Club. That was pretty nice. And the future looks bright for San Antonio baseball.
You know, Jeff, the Ryans are first class, and they do things the right way. And I just love that Ryan Sanders, baseball CEO, Reed Ryan, the son of the great Nolan Ryan, basically said toward the end of the interview that it's unacceptable that El Paso and Sugar Land and Frisco and Amarillo and Round Rock and Corpus all have better minor league baseball facilities in the great city of San Antonio. And, he's going to make things happen. It's not going to happen overnight, but I love the fact that they're going to push forward and they're going to build a first-class stadium venue in the Alamo City. That's great to hear.
Yeah, you can check out that video, at least a snippet of it, on Vinny's Twitter at VV-Vinzetta. So that's VVINZETTA. I had a couple of fans reach out to me, Vinny, asking me where they can see clips of that special that you and the rest of your colleagues on the sports side did for the Spurs. Was it 5 at 50? So I said, well, go to Vinny's Twitter. And they're like, we can't find it. I go, what do you mean you can't find it? It's simple. Just VV-Vinzetta. Looking for it. Apparently they were spelling with a Y. They were looking for Vinny with a Y. I was like, no. It's VINNIE, everybody. So if you want to see a quick glimpse of that interview that he had with Ryan Sanders, baseball CEO with the Missions, and of course his segment on the Spurs 5 at 50, celebrating the 50th anniversary, go check it out. Again, VV-Vinzetta. No Y, everybody, on Twitter. And you did a good job. I saw that little clip of it with the kind of walk down retired Jersey lane. That was pretty creative.
We were thinking of ideas about what to do for the special, and that just sort of came to me. And I thought, I always find myself glancing up there, whether I'm in there for a regular season game or the playoffs or the finals or in the San Antonio Rodeo, whatever it is, I always glance up there. And I thought maybe I'll just whip together kind of a monologue and see if we can tug at heartstrings. And really proud of the way that came out. And also on my Twitter page, folks should check out as part of that 5 on 50 special, our sit down with former Spur Devin Brown. He played high school ball at South Sands West campus right here in the city, and then college ball at UTSA, and then some time with the Spurs, part of that 05 title team. So Devin had some good memories to share as well. So check that out too.
Absolutely. All right, let's get into it right here on Locked On Spurs. Let's start off with Malakai Branham. Now, look, Vinny, we get it. Sohan is Sohan, colorful hair, lock you down defenders, get into scraps on the court, getting under the skin, is a NBA rising star. So a lot of the focus is on him. He was the number 9 pick after all. But there's another rookie that's been getting a lot of burn and is also on his development path, and that's Malakai Branham. He's not stashed in the Austin G League system. He's getting minutes. Sometimes they're light, sometimes they're heavy. But what have you been seeing from his development so far, his rookie season?
Jeff, I think Malachi is a kid that's got some swagger. I'll just give you some terms. I mean, to me, he plays with no fear. He plays with energy. He strikes me as a little bit unflappable. Like if something negative happens, there's some Brett Favre in there. He's like, well, let's forget about it, move on, let's go, let's get it done next time. And even at 6'4", I've seen that he can finish when he wants to anywhere on the floor. So I like the tools in his box, and he's only gonna get better. I mean, the Spurs typically, as we know, draft as well, if not better, than anybody in the league, and I think they've got a player that potentially has a chance to stick and stay here for a while.
He's been described by Popovich and by some of the players as having an old school kind of game, very old school. Nothing flashy, just gets the job done. And the numbers show that, as mentioned, the minutes. He's getting those minutes right now. 17 minutes versus Washington, 21 versus Phoenix, 26 versus the Clippers. So Pop is throwing them out there. But like any rookie, even Sohan concluded, there's room for improvement. And this kind of leads into our second topic, but, we'll get a little sample of it right now. In the last few games, his shooting has been a little off. 33% versus Washington. He went 0 for 3 from the 3 line in the game versus Washington and the previous game against Phoenix in that overtime thriller. Nevertheless, what I like about him is that he tends to shake things off. As you mentioned, unflappable. If he has a bad shooting night or just a shooting moment, he still lets it fly, Vinny.
He's just got that mentality, Jeff, that, he's got a short memory, I guess is the way to put it. If it doesn't go your way, move on to the next play, and that's what he does. And you're right, he hasn't been shooting great, a little bit of a streak shooter, but he's young, and that will come. And I can't believe I'm going to say this because the defense has been so bad, but he's a guy who wants to be committed like Sohan on that end of the floor too. So I think that's why he's getting those minutes, and Pop is getting him out there. He's really kind of, some baptism by fire there in the NBA in this young start to his career. But I think he's learning and getting it, and I like what I see, and there's only good to come.
I had a chance to speak with Stanley Johnson a couple nights ago, post game in the locker room, and we talked about Branham. And I said, "Hey, what have you been seeing from the kid?" And I'm talking to one of the Spurs quote unquote vets here now. He's a vet technically, so yet he's still like a young kid. But he echoes exactly what you said, Vinny. He said, and he told me, quote, "I like that he's recovering from bad games and bad shooting nights." So there you go, that unflappability. So you have, you got Stanley Johnson agreeing you there. But he also goes on to this. So he did tell me that he wants to see Malachi get to the free throw line. He feels that he has that ability to get some bonus points on the stat sheet for him by getting that and one, by getting to that free throw line, getting the layup. He just wants to see him attack the rim more. Your thoughts on that?
I think that he probably defers once in a while to other players out there, but I agree with you. He's got a crafty basketball body that can do it both inside and out, and he can stretch the floor with his game. And I just think that'll come with time, getting more comfortable and attacking the rim, because he's got the skill set for sure to finish at the cup, get to the line, and, head back the other way with 3-point plays instead of just 2.
Yeah, 37 games played so far for Malachi. Unheard of in the Popovich era. Rookie getting 19, close to 20 minutes per game, but hey, it is what it is. It is a rebuild. They got to do what they got to do to see the talent there. And I also, consider this as well, Vinny, is on occasion this season, I don't know if you caught this, Popovich has repeatedly said, we're looking at the season not just for development, but for who is going to stick around moving forward. So, you got Malachi. He's trying to prove his worth to be part of this rebuild in San Antonio. I think for me, Vinny, the jury's still out on what type of NBA player he can be. I think there's fertile ground for him to get even better. Your thoughts?
I think that's right down the middle. I think you're exactly right. Now, the last time I was on, we talked about. I think one of your buy or sell questions is everybody safe? And I think clearly there are a couple of pieces that are safe, but I think Branham and others, for example, they're playing for spots. They're playing to have a home. So yeah, I mean, it's one of those years that you better show it, because the organization is rebuilding, and they're going to bring in other people, and they're going to draft people. So yeah, you've got to show that they're willing to keep you right here for sure. There's no question about that.
Vinny, you always have a spot here in Locked On Spurs, so your future is safe. You don't have to worry about that. You're good.
Sign me up. I'm signed.
All right. What would you give him so far? If you had to give a letter grade through 37 games, what would it be for you?
I'm going to give him, just because the kid is so young, I'm going to give him a B minus, I guess.
Okay.
I mean, I think there's room for improvement, but I credit him for having the courage to play the way he has and to try to find his role and find his place, because they're not getting results and there's a lot of question marks. But the kid is going out there and just trying to show that, yeah, you want to build this thing back to championship fever and championship level. I'm one of the guys you need to do it with. So I give him a lot of credit for going at it that way.
Absolutely. 7 points per game so far for him on average per game, 19.7 minutes per game, 1.7 assists, 1.8 rebounds. Again, room for improvement. Absolutely. 27% shooting from the 3 line. Yeah, that's a lot of work is needed there. But overall field goal percentage at 42. Again, a little bit can get better. But I'm going to give him a B as well. So there you have it. A quick update on how Malachi Branham is doing. But when we get back, overall, the Spurs are not shooting the ball well. And it's kind of interesting to bring up because Vinny and I kind of joked about it before we hit record on this episode. We'd like to hear your thoughts on what we had to say about the poor Spurs shooting that has been happening over the last few games. But before we do that, I want to talk to you about FanDuel. FanDuel is America's #1 sports book. It's the only app you need at your Super Bowl party, and that is FanDuel. We're excited about the new sports betting partner for Locked On because they're the #1 sports book in America. Again, FanDuel. If you're new to FanDuel, that's even better. They have so many great features that make betting on sports fun and easy. Download the FanDuel app right now so you can bet on Super Bowl 57 with a no-sweat first bet. You get up to $3,000 back in bonus bets if your first bet doesn't win. FanDuel lets you bet on everything from the money line to point spreads to who will score a touchdown. The FanDuel Sportsbook app is safe, secure, and super easy to use. Best of all, you get paid your winnings instantly, fast, right then and there. So join FanDuel today at FanDuel.com/lockedon to claim your no-sweat first bet on Super Bowl 57. That's FanDuel.com/lockedon. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NFL. And we're back right here on Locked On Spurs with my colleague at Kent's 5. He is Vinny Vinzetta. He holds it down on the sports side of things on the TV side, and he's hopping on Locked On Spurs to talk everything about the silver and black. I always bet that Vinny's going to bring the heat every time he comes on Locked On Spurs, Vinny. I have no doubt. I place all my money on that.
I'm bringing the heat, although it's cold right now in San Antonio. But let's qualify that. Let's qualify that a little bit. It's probably not that cold, but we're preconditioned here in deep South Texas to, well, maybe not that deep, but South Texas to like enjoy the warm weather the majority of the time. So even though it's not that cold, it still feels really cold. So we're kind of wimpy, but it is what it is. It happens in this part of the country.
Yeah. Texans, Vinny, I think everybody knows this, that I split my calendar year between San Antonio, which is my home, born and raised, and New York City. And when I come down to visit family or just to hop in and see how everybody's doing, and it's quote unquote cold, I'm out there in shorts and a nice little windbreaker. I'm like, what are you talking about cold? This is awesome. This is beautiful. I love it. Bring it on. Feels great. But no. But they get their revenge on me because my heat tolerance has just gone. It's wiped out. I remember used to be able to take those South Texas high temperatures. I can't do that anymore. So I get cooked a lot by my family and friends saying, wimp, can't take it. What is it? 85 degrees outside. I'm like, it's too hot. I'm melting here. But speaking of cold, Vinny, Spurs have been not shooting the ball well over the last, not just 2 games, not over the last 10 games, the last 12 games. Now, let's be very clear. Yeah, Vinny and I are recording this episode before last night's Kings game. So hopefully they shot better. But heading into last night's Kings game, Vinny, brace yourself. The Spurs have 12 consecutive games with a lower field goal percentage than their opponents. So, yeah, it even extends beyond this current losing streak that they're on. I guess the big question I got to ask you, Vinny, is this a byproduct of losing Chip England, the shooting guru?
Interesting. I'm going to say just off the top, capital YES. Yes. I mean, I think back to Chip's days here, and you know this, Pop always, countless times gave Chip credit for, the way the team was shooting and for developing players for all of the great years during the Duncan era. And even after that. Chip was always the first one out in pregame at the AT&T Center for game nights, and he was always working with the rookies, taking them through shooting drills, and then even when the Hall of Famers came out there, he would work with them. Always had an infectious smile on his face, and just really a lot of positive energy, in my opinion, that came from Chip England, and the guys really enjoy working with him. So I guess I'm going to say, yeah, for sure. I think probably that's part of the drop off. And you look at the two titles that Chip won with the Spurs in 7 and 14. There were some great shooters on those teams. I mean, you think about the Brent Berries and Matt Bonner and Bruce Bowen and Jacques Vaughn, Manu, Finley, Marco Bellinelli, Boris Diaw, Danny Green, Kawhi, Patty Mills. I mean, Chip helped some great shooters become even greater. So
right.
I'm going to say yes, he's missed for sure.
Yeah. Oh, now overall in the NBA, the Spurs ranked 28th in shooting for percentages there. So it's not that good. Actually, I take that back. That's just in free throw percentage. My mistake. So let's go fix that up. And free throw percentage, just that alone, they're 28. So that's bad enough. But in field goal percentage, they're actually 18th. So that's going to start to slip a bit if this bad shooting slump collectively as a team continues. Now, you brought up something interesting. You said before we hit record that Oklahoma City, interesting enough, also has a similar low field goal percentage. Is this the battle of the tank we're watching right now? Like, oh, yeah, Spurs, if you're going to go 12 games of the bad shooting slump, we're going to go 14 games. How about that?
I mean, I think we talked about it last time again. Nobody wants to talk about it for the record and really have a press conference dedicated to the tank, but I think everybody kind of knows in their own way what they are doing. It's just, again, I don't mean to laugh. It's just such a funny thing that we're having a season and conversations like this. It's so bizarre, but this is the way of the business of professional basketball, I guess, on occasion. But yeah, it's crazy that Oklahoma City is almost identical in shooting percentage right now to the San Antonio Spurs.
By the way, and speaking of the tank, as of this recording, Vinny, Tankathon, the latest results is the Spurs are in the top 3 worst records. Way to go, Spurs. You did it. They're in it, Vinny.
They're in it, and something's got into Charlotte. The Hornets are suddenly now winning some games. Somebody needs to pull them into a meeting and say, guys, what are we doing here?
Yeah. They're going to put on their the player locker room, and they're like, the Spurs have a 12-game bad shooting slump. Oklahoma City equal shooting slump percentage. Get with it, guys. But yeah, you're right. The Spurs, they're shooting poorly. Is that a byproduct of championship? I think that's a big chunk of it. But I've seen pregame, Coach Brown out there with the guys helping them shoot. It looks like they're trying to fill the void collectively left by Chip England. And also, too, again, the growth. This is development. They're not going to be shooting 60, 70%. These are teenagers. Sohan, 19. Malachi, teenager. But I am surprised, though, that some, even the quote-unquote veterans, are also in shooting slumps, too. Kelvin Johnson, he's been erratic this season. He's up and he's down. He hasn't had a consistent shooting season so far. Vinny, what are your thoughts on that? Again, just another... hey, he's developing too, along with the kids, or you think there's more to it than just that?
That one, to me, Jeff, is a little bit of a head scratcher because you're right, man. I mean, he has been up and down streaky for sure. He's got that beautiful looking set shot, and sometimes it's gold and sometimes it's not. I think that when he's completely wide open and he doesn't have to deal with a defender launching his way, things are a lot better. So I think maybe that's part of his game that he's going to continue to work on, is having defenders right in his face and still being able to knock that down on more of a consistent basis. And I would say that from an overall team standpoint, they'll have quarters where they are red hot, but the way they drop off is really remarkable. I mean, they can just fall flat around with shooting percentage, especially in the second half and in fourth quarter. So I don't know if that's, I don't mean to laugh again. I don't know if that's part of a tankathon strategy, but man, suddenly nothing will fall. And I'm like, this seems to happen game in and game out in the fourth. Incredible.
Yeah. That's the pattern. You can just rinse, repeat exactly what Vinny just said right now for pretty much the rest of the games left on the season. It's going to be great or competitive first, second, maybe a little bit of the third quarter, and then the wheels fall off. That's just the way it's been. And I want to circle back to Keldon real fast. As of right now, in this recording, he's shooting a career low from the field at 43%.
Oh, wow.
43. His best shooting performance was actually his rookie season. I don't even want to count that in there, but 17 games. So maybe that's a wash. But as far as a hefty amount of games, that'll be 2021 season, 48%. So, yeah. And his 3-point percentage, not that good as well. 34% as of this recording. So that's the second worst 3-point shot.
After you're locked up with that big contract, you're supposed to hit all those shots, right?
Yeah, exactly. But he's been whiffing again. Does he know the assignment too? I don't know. He comes out and says we want to win, and he's happy. What else he's going to say? He's not going to say, no, we're losing for some 7-footer out in France or some phenom with the G League. He's not going to say that. But if this is about developmental season, then shooting wise, as collectively, the team is not shooting that great. But who knows? It could be just all part of that draft lottery status. But they're in it though. Top 3 worst record. So yay, Spurs. I always say this, Vinny, the season for the Spurs and the Spurs fans probably doesn't start till the offseason. I think that's when the season begins. I just been looking at this season as a glorified training camp. I think that's really what it is. Let's be real. It's just a glorified training camp. All it is. They're not going to win a title. They're not going to go to the play-in. They're not going to go to playoffs. They have everything to gain by losing and also everything to gain by development. So if that helps kind of swallow the pill a little easier with all the L's mounting up, Spurs fans think of it like that. But when we get back, we're going to talk about a very interesting question. And it relates to the All-Star game. So I know Vinny has not been named an NBA All-Star. I voted him in, but didn't work out. He didn't get the votes. But when we get back, we're going to put Vinny Vinzetta on the hot seat right here on Locked On Spurs. But before we get into that, I want to talk to you about PrizePicks. PrizePicks is daily fantasy made easy. It's simple to use, and it makes betting on sports so much fun. So how does it work? You pick 2 to 6 players. If they go on to score more or less than the prize pick projection, you go up to 25 times your money on any entry. No competing against other people. It's just you versus the projections available. PrizePicks offers projections on any sport that you watch: NBA, NFL, MLB, NHL, PGA, MMA. Brace yourself. Yes, even cricket and disc golf and boxing. Yeah, they have every sport covered over at PrizePicks. Entries can be made in 60 seconds or less. Very easy. Safe and fast withdrawals. Currently operational in over 30 states and in Canada. Download the PrizePicks app right now or go to prizepicks.com to sign up for daily fantasy sports. First-time users can get themselves a 100% instant deposit match up to $100 with promo code Locked On. You deposit $100, PrizePicks will give you $100. You deposit $50, PrizePicks will give you $50. Don't forget to enter promo code Locked On at sign up for an instant deposit match up to $100. We're back right here on Locked On Spurs with my colleague at Ken's 5. He is Vinny Vinzetta. Follow him on Twitter at VVinzetta, not with a Y, everybody. It's with an I-E. VVINZETTA. Go check it out, especially if you want to see his segment on the 5 at 50, the Ken's 5 Sports Spurs 50th anniversary celebration segment they had recently. Go check it out. It's really nice. And again, he takes you through a walk through Spurs retired jersey memory lane. It was very nice. I'm still waiting for the Vinny Vinzetta jersey to hang on the AT&T right next to Tim Duncan.
Well, I think yours ought to hang before mine, don't you?
No, I don't know about that. They'll probably put mine it'll be on a napkin. You can see Jeff's over there in the men's room. It's in there. That's where it's going to be. But all kidding aside, it's time to put Vinny on the hot seat. So get ready, get nice and toasty. You might need it, Vinny. It's still cold in San Antonio. But here we go. So, Vinny, Spurs Jeremy Sohan is an NBA Rising All-Star. So he's going to be playing with the best of the best young kids in the NBA. And congratulations to him. Well deserved. Yay. We got that. But then the big question is going to be who will be the next Spurs All-Star. The last one was DeJounte Murray, and that was barely getting in. That had to take Draymond Green to get hurt and DeJounte to be the fill-in. So now, Vinny, here's your question. Buy or sell that Jeremy Sohan will be an NBA All-Star before Keldon Johnson and or Devin Vassell?
Boy, you come up with tough buy or sell, Jeff. I give you a lot of credit. I am going to sell because Keldon's your guy. He's your big money guy. He's your emotional leader. I'm going to say that Keldon will be an all-star before Jeremy Sohan, but I could absolutely have to have myself stood corrected eventually. But I'm going to stick with Keldon on both ends of the floor. But gosh, I mean, the way Sohan is playing, he absolutely needs to be in the game on February 17th in Salt Lake City or whenever it is, and I'm glad that he is. But I'm going to stay with Keldon, but I will say I think that Sohan will be an all-star eventually, but right now I think Keldon goes first.
I'm right there with you. And I bring up this question because I don't know if you saw this, but the NBA released the final fan votes for the All-Star starters. And again, fan votes. And we get it. Vinny gets it. You get it. There's media votes and, then the fan votes and whatnot. But as far as the fan voting is concerned, Vinny, Sohan was the second leading Spurs vote getter among fans behind Keldon Johnson. So he vaulted over Devin, and maybe that's a little byproduct of Devin being hurt. But yeah, I mean, but he has that fan appeal. And that's why I asked that question, because Vinny, it's still a popularity contest among the fans.
You know how Manu was so beloved easily, big three, and even though Tim was the reason it all happened, first and foremost, Manu was beloved. I can see Jeremy Sohan, to your point, becoming that next guy that just relates to everyone in San Antonio and just becomes that fan fave. I can absolutely see that. Now we do love Keldon and how he goes crazy every time he gets a big basket and foul and screams uncontrollably. We all love that, but it just seems like Sohan relates. It relates really well, and I can see him becoming immensely popular if he's to hang around here. Yeah,
and he's very interactive with fans. Not to say that Keldon isn't, especially in the offseason. Keldon's out and about. He's at sneaker conventions, unannounced. He'll just show up and start shopping. He take the photos with fans. So kudos to him. But Sohan is almost daily. He's on social media with fans. He interacts with them. He does Q&As with them. I mean, you could probably pop in right now, and he's doing that. So I think he's go ahead.
He gets it. He's one of those guys who gets it, and I admire that.
Yeah, he definitely gets it. But, you look at him and his trajectory not only becoming a much more fan favorite. And we're not, saying that Keldon isn't, but he's taking big steps in that direction. I think, he's getting to scraps with players, getting under their skin, going at the Luka Doncic, going at Marcus Morris Jr. and fans are cheering him on. And you can't say anything bad about him on social media, Vinny, because Spurs fans will come out in with their pitchforks at you. But that's how much he's really become beloved by the fan base. But it is interesting. But and I agree that I think either Keldon or Jeremy probably will make an all-star squad down the road. But again, Vinny, I got to ask you, do you think the Spurs record may hamper that? Because look what it took for DeJounte to get it. It took Draymond Green to get hurt for him to get that replacement spot. I don't know if it'll be a lock that either of these guys would be voted in as a starter or not even a lock that as a reserve. Something feels still like something is missing, and maybe that missing piece is a strong Spurs record.
I think that's 100% correct. I mean, have they even had a national TV game this year? I can't think or remember. I mean, so as long as your broadcast regional, as long as your record is terrible, I mean, it's going to hold them back. It's going to hurt that cause. Absolutely. Totally.
Yeah. And then the one national game they have against the Warriors at the Alamo Dome, they get trounced.
Yeah, I forgot about it. Yep. and they got beat by 30.
They got smoked, and that's not going to do well in the eyes of the generic overall NBA fan that vote. So it is interesting. But I mean, I just got to ask you, and I can see if you say like you don't know or maybe too soon to tell. But is there another dark horse Spurs All-Star currently on the roster that could make it down the road? Maybe Devin.
Yeah, Devin is one of those guys that I would label as a professional scorer. I mean, he's good, man. I mean, I would argue before the injury and before he's had some time away that he was their most consistent player. I mean, the guy is. I'm drawing a blank on Sweet Lou that used to play for the Hawks and the and the what was his last name? Lou Williams.
Lou Williams. Yes.
They always referred to him as a professional scorer, and Devin Vassell is a professional scorer. I mean, Sean Elliott has said that many times about him on Bally's broadcast of Spurs games. So yeah, I mean, he's a guy that can absolutely play on All-Star Weekend for sure.
I'm still, I still have hope that the NBA will invite you, Vinny, for the slam dunk contest. We need to get you in that. We need to get you in that.
If they drop that goal to about 7 feet, I will wow the crowds.
That like, I'm like, I never dunked in my life or ever, not even when high school or just in like regulation 10 feet. But that's always been one of my dreams. Is just a dunk. I don't have any hops, Vinny. I don't have any at all.
I'm right there with you. I can jump up and grab the net, and that's the end of my.
I just want to know what that feels like, just to just dunk on somebody. I bet that has to be one of the best feelings in sports, just to dunk on somebody so bad. Remember the what was that dunk that guy had from the Clippers? It wasn't Blake Griffin. It was that big guy.
Jordan?
Yeah, John Day Jordan. Yes. Remember that dunk heard around the world years ago when there was Lob City? I forgot who he dunked it on, but it was just so nasty.
I remember where I was. I was at the NFL Combine in Indianapolis, I think. If Spurs, and I remember seeing that, or maybe the Spurs were playing the Clippers that night. No, maybe it was another time. But no, I do remember a little bit about the dunk you're talking about, because he started way out there and just got unbelievable. Yeah, I mean that has to be the best feeling ever for anybody that throws it down and posterizes somebody, as they say.
Yeah, just one time, please. Let me just have that one time. Give me a trampoline, I'll take it. I just want to know what that feels like. Hey, but we're done talking. We want to hear from you. What do you think about Malachi Branham's development so far this season? Yeah, it's getting a little, kind of in the shadows of Jeremy Sohan, but he was a first-round pick. And how do you like it so far out of the Spurs' first-round pick, Malachi Branham? Also, what do you think about the Spurs shooting slump? Just a byproduct of a developmental season, or you think there's some shenanigans, draft lottery shenanigans afoot? And what do you think about Sohan? Could he be the first Spurs All-Star since DeJounte Murray? Vinny, tell us what's going on your side of things over at Ken's 5.
Well, the weather has put a lot of things on hold this week, but just more Spurs basketball and high school athletics, and getting ready for spring football, into February and March, and got the old Valero Texas Open coming back this spring as well. So it's not near as busy as football season, but just kind of ride out this Spurs season for what it is, and just a lot of other local stuff. It keeps busy.
Absolutely. By the way, Tom Brady did retire for sure, right? He ain't going to pull another stunt and say, I'm back, baby.
According to him, it's forever. But, I think with any professional athlete, never say never. But he's old in football years, so I think probably this is it. Yes. That whooping by the Cowboys was his last great hurrah.
See, there you go, Cowboys fans. Dallas sent him into retirement. So there's your consolation.
There you go. That's it.
For the season. Yeah. So again, like we said, we're done talking. Definitely we want to hear from you. Follow me on Twitter at Jeff G Spurs Zone. We got a lot of stuff coming out on the kens5.com/Spurs. I have a one-on-one chat with Jeremy Sohan, and it's a great quick little chat I had with him about the offensive side of his game. So look for that on kens5.com/Spurs. And make your second listen Game to game NBA, every moment, every top performance, every result. Locked On Game to Game covers every game from across the NBA. Follow Game to Game on Locked On NBA on the Odyssey app, YouTube, wherever you get podcasts, just like Locked On Spurs, Odyssey app, YouTube, and wherever you get podcasts. So for Vinny Vinzetta, I am Jeff Garcia. We're going to put a lock on this episode of Locked On Spurs.